Call the meeting order. Join me in the pledge of allegiance, please.
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, can I have a roll call?
Brian.
Here.
Lexi. Here. Justin.
Here.
John.
Here.
Jeff.
Here. Great, thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi. Aye.
Justin, I.
John.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. I'll open up now for citizen comment for anything that is not a public hearing tonight. If anybody wants to address the council about something else on the agenda. All right, we're gonna go ahead and close that citizen comment.
Anybody online?
Oh. If someone online would like to address the council about something besides the hearings that are scheduled for tonight, please say so now. Nope. Okay. All right, close the citizen comment. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. If there are no questions about it. Motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second. Brian, I.
Lexi. Aye.
Justin, I. Jeff, I.
Motion carries. HR committee report. You've looked at the notes, you kind of know what happened at the last meeting, as far as, they're defining, classifications and adding 2 holidays, for employees.
No, that's, we're dealing with on the agenda tonight. Right, item K.
Yeah.
So
That's,
that was the meeting.
that was
Yes.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a quick synopsis of our meeting. You got anything else you want to add there,
No.
Brian?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Anything else in the development?
No.
Righty. Moving on then, Adam Burns is here from ICAP, with his presentation for renewals. Hello, Adam.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have great news, but we're gonna go through it. So I believe all of you received the packet, correct, of everything? Okay, I'm gonna spend majority of my time, excuse me, I'm sorry about a little bit of cold. So on that premium summary page, okay? So as you can see, we got a pretty big increase. ICAP across the board, no matter who you are on property, is giving you a 50% increase no matter where you stand. Okay, so every ICAP member, okay? Unfortunately, that falls within us. Okay, so if you look at just our property alone, it was a 74% increase. Again, 50% of that mandatory from ICAP. 11% of that was due to increased values of our property, both from inflation and things that have been added. So then the rest of that was a rate increase that they gave to us. Unfortunately, excuse me, the way ICAP presents things and how they look at stuff is they say, hey, our rate across the board for property, they have their reinsurance. Okay, so every insurance company purchases what's called reinsurance to protect from major events. Okay, so that reinsurance mandated that they need to have a certain minimum rate. Okay, to give you an idea, our rate for property is 21 cents. Okay, that's per $1,000 that goes into our property. That's actually pretty good rate. I know it's not good to hear when I'm saying, hey, your property went up 74%, but overall a 21 cent rate is not a bad thing. Okay, we see anything from, you know, the 15 cent to 75 cent, depending on what type of property it is. Okay, so our average rate is 21 cents. So they had a minimum that they needed to reach, okay, for reinsurance. So it got pushed down the line from ICAP, then ICAP to the city. Okay. Everything else looked okay, except for the auto took a 42% increase. Okay. That is due to, we added a vehicle, and I'm going to get into a little bit of jargon, but it's called a loss ratio. Okay. We'll use easy math. You pay $100 for insurance premium. What you have in claims. Okay. If you have $100 in claims, you had a 100% loss ratio. Okay. Over a 5-year period, our loss ratio for the auto was 343%. Okay, so every dollar that we paid in, the insurance company paid $3.43. Okay, So that's why we saw the increase a little bit on the auto. Everything else stayed pretty consistent to what we're seeing in the market, anywhere from a 5%, increase, and then cyber went up just a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna pause questions and then I have some other things to go into.
Adam, I want to make sure I understand that the 21 cents, that's the rate that we'd be going to in this quote, or that's what we have
Yes.
been at?
This
And
is
that's
what
the
we'll
new
be-
minimum required.
Well, this is what they have for us for our rate for this coming year,
Okay.
starting November 1st.
Okay.
Any other questions so far?
This is when you shine.
No, this, I talked to Adam about this. Property increases are doing exactly what this is. They're going through the roof. The catastrophic events that are going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think that it will continue probably even into next year, considering what happened down in Florida this past few weeks.
Yeah.
What I've also been seeing, as I talked to Adam about, is like the deductibles that we have here are reasonable. What I've been seeing in some commercial properties is, you have a $5 million property, but you have a 2% value of the property as your deductible. So if you do the quick math there, that's a little bit more than $1,000 deductible.
And I'll get into that here in a second. So knowing that ICAP was going to give us an increase, because they communicated this back in November of 2023. Okay, so we tried to prepare as much as we could. So we knew moving into this market, we wanted to go out and see what else is out there. For cities in Iowa, there's really only a couple companies that handle it. ICAP, EMC are the major ones, okay? The other one is Travelers. So we went to them and said, hey, give us a quote. Travelers gave us an okay quote, premium wise, it was 144,000 compared to the 135 that it's gonna be, okay? Couple things with Travelers, this was just an indication, so we'd have to give them some more details of things that they were asking, okay? The one things that really stuck out when John and I were talking that I just didn't like is the property deductible for wind and hail was gonna be $500,000, okay? So obviously that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, okay? Their auto deductibles were gonna be 2,500. And then some of the other deductibles were 10K, and then for law enforcement, it was gonna be 5,000. Okay, so deductibles, yes, the premium looks somewhat close to, 10 grand away from where we are, but you're taking on that more risk, okay? EMC came back, and they said, hey, our indication is gonna be about $210,000. So give you an idea kind of where we fall.
Wow.
So yes, it's not, still never good to say, hey, we're gonna increase premiums by 50%. However, compared to where the market is, it's not on the line, okay? So a couple things to know on our deductibles, okay? And again, it's been communicated, but I want to reassure this, or, preference this again. Is on the wind and hail, okay? So insurance companies are going to a wind hail deductible, okay? So for any wind claim or hail claim, okay? Now that does, most of the time it happens on a roof, but again, this can happen to anything, can blow the building down. We're gonna have a 2% deductible, okay, from ICAP. And again, that's only wind and hail, so it's not fire, okay, or theft or vandalism, okay? The other thing to note is in order for that to be triggered, it's called ISO, okay, has to deem it a catastrophic event, which means that storm would have to generate at least $25 million in property damage. Okay, so if it only generates $10 million, but we had a hail claim, that deductible of 2% does not apply. Okay, it's a little bit different.
So then there's no deductible
Well, you would have your
or whatever.
property deductible that we have of $1,000 right now. Yep. So the biggest thing is with our values, the minimum we're gonna have for a deductible is 25,000 for. Okay, so we do have a wind and hail event, and to reach that $25 million, okay, we're gonna have at least $25,000 deductible. Okay, the building we sit in is our biggest building. To give you an idea, if all those triggers line up, this building would have a $320,000 deductible.
And one thing I forgot to ask you is that a per building?
per building.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and so travelers, I looked at $500,000 is per building as well. So,
One thing that Adam and I looked at as far as taking some of our low value buildings, I think there was a $13,000 building and a $25,000 building and consider maybe self-insuring those,
Yeah.
but the premium was like $50.
yeah, some of them were like $7 or $8 even.
Yeah, so it really didn't make a lot of sense.
There's not a savings.
And as far as his deductible options here, in my opinion, it really makes zero sense to raise it up. Because the savings that you're getting is about a half a claim. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to take on that risk without the savings of the premium.
Yeah, the only way I would take on the risk, if as a city, you make a, not a formal policy, but your general stance is, we're not gonna turn a claim in unless it's X dollars. Okay, so for example, like your auto deductibles are $200, $350, okay? You're not gonna turn a claim in and it's $1,000, maybe consider going to that $1,000 deductible. Okay, same thing with the property. The $5,000 deductible, I think makes zero sense. That's not worth it at all. However, going to 10,000, about every other year, if we don't have a claim, it could be worth it. Okay. But again, it's what your risk tolerances is, what you would do. Again, Adam's opinion and just Adam's opinion only. I'm a risk taker. I would probably take the $10,000 deductible and hopefully nothing happens, but as soon as we have one claim, we just lost 2 years, a little over 2 years of, the premium there.
Right.
Other questions? Anything you want me to go through, cover? In your packet is a complete list of everything we insure, what the value is, what it costs to insure, down every line item there.
I'm curious on our auto, so it's a 5-year window. We had some of those losses a couple years ago. Where are we at in that 5-year window for some of those falling off? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so the biggest one happened, I think, 3 years ago. So I think it was a 20 to 21 policy when we were looking at that, when John and I were talking about it.
We'll have a couple more years at this level without any other.
Well, as long as we don't have any other claims, sometimes they kind of age out, they don't have as much impact on premiums typically.
Okay.
I mean,
It's on the curve.
right now, there's no looking at crystal balls with the insurance right now.
Any other questions? As always, if you're reviewing it, even after it's approved, call me. You have questions, I'm more than happy to address anything that I can for.
I do have one. This is maybe, I tried to cross-check it myself, but this premium summary has that net at about 135. The invoice has about 132. What is the difference?
The difference is our cyber. Our cyber we purchase separately,
Okay,
and that's your difference there. So it should be the difference of $3,176.
okay. So the total is the 135.
Yeah, for the whole package.
Unless we take the different property deductible. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Adam,
Yes.
you're on the agenda, public hearing for rezone request of parcels 14114000004, parcel 141400005 from A1 to C2, general commercial.
Mayor, we need a motion to open up the public hearing.
Good call. I'll need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing to rezone request parcels 14114000004 and parcel 14114000005 from A1 agriculture to C2 general commercial.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
All right.
Chap, aye. Motion carries. We will now open the public hearing for the rezone request. Anyone?
As you're all aware of, this is the property that's east of Jim Conlon's that goes out to Cottingham, and we're asking for the same zoning. Planning and zoning did review it. Same zoning as Mr. Conlon had on his property.
Just the one that we sent the second letter.
Yes.
That we're redoing the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anyone who'd like to address the council regarding this rezoning? Online, would like to address the council on this? I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for rezoning these two parcels.
Mayor, you need a motion
Need
to
a
do
motion
that.
to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
I'll second it.
Brian, I.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. Next up, we have an ordinance approving the rezone of these two parcels. To approve. First reading.
Make a motion to approve. Dash 11 orders approving rezone of parcels 114-14114-00004 and 14114-00005. Owned by M&M and M LLC from A1 to C2.
I'll second. Brian, I.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. I'll ask council now if they would like to suspend the rules and wait a second.
I think
Have we had any feedback from property owners around?
they were here the last
Yeah.
time and I think they
Alright.
had some questions and
Okay.
I think they got.
I'd be more comfortable with
Yep.
at least one additional reading.
Yep. Sounds good. We'll do that then. Motion to open the public hearing for utility percentage rates for outside corporate boundary of the city of Piasta.
Motion approved, to open the public hearing for utility percentage rates for outside the corporate boundary of the city of Piasta.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. We'll now open up public hearing. And I ask if you do want to address the council that you come up to where Mr. Kern was. This way we can get you on the recording for any comments you might have.
Name, address.
Name, address when you come up. If you can, limit it to about 3 minutes. If we start hearing like the same thing, we're gonna probably ask that we move on from that. So we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at this time.
I'm Rick Grundy. My wife Marina and I live at 16817 Blair Drive, Thunder Ridge. We've lived there for about 10 and a half years. And from the time we moved out here, we were so impressed with the community, not only Thunder Ridge, but Birds, Thunder Hills, and in Piasta in general. And since we've been here, we've done everything we can, bend over backwards to try and support the businesses in Piasta because of the convenience they bring and what it brings to the community. This water thing, when we moved from Dubuque, our water rates were about the same. And then things have changed, none of which had the residents of Thunder Ridge had any control over or any say in. And, being part of a community is not an a la carte menu. Either you want us or you don't. And, this water rates are getting so out of line. And from everything I've been told, there's nothing really we can do about it. Is it going to impact us greatly in Thunder Ridge? Thunder Ridge is a pretty affluent community and, nobody's going to go broke. Nobody's going to miss any meals, but that doesn't mean we don't have to like it. And, from my standpoint, what we've talked about is if you want to do this, fine. But, your motto is Piasta's in the middle of everywhere. And we don't have to go too far to buy groceries, to have drinks, to go to dollar stores, to get our cars fixed. There is one exception. My wife gets her hair done in Piasta and I understand that's off limits. I just don't. Oh, that's where we're at. And, the $25,000-$30,000 a year we spend in Piasta probably isn't gonna make a bit of difference. But, you know, I don't know how many of our fellow residents feel that way. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Randy.
Jamie Kleesner, 16661 Cordillera Drive. I'm going to comment on Thunder Ridge Homeowners Association Board. First, let me say we fully acknowledge the fact of paying a higher rate than the residents of City of Piasta. We don't pay city taxes, so certainly understand the rationale. We believe the rate of 150% of city residents is fair. This is locked in place for sewer and refuse by the 2080 agreement through. Since 2014, when Mr. Spiegel deeded the city our well, pump house and water tower, the rate was set at 150%. This was a verbal agreement, and we were told it did not need to be in writing and to trust the city of Piasta. We continually tried to get a 2080 agreement, which is highly recommended by legal experts, and one was submitted to the city in 2018. This was not acted on. Over the course of 4 years, we were presented a 2080 agreement, which lowered the water rates to 125% of the resident. Included in this agreement was a stipulation Thunder Ridge Estates would agree to voluntary annexation if and when we became contiguous to the city of Piasta. To be voluntary annexed requires an 80% approval rate of the residents of the area to be annexed. Getting an 80% approval rate was impossible. Then, and getting 80% of people to agree on anything this day and age will be a challenging task. So basically, we were presented with a 28E agreement that was unattainable. We have heard the city say that you're raising the rates to 200% of the city resident rates to have reserve fund to cover future expenses for the water system. The board has been presented 3 different spreadsheets to justify the costs. Those spreadsheets contain errors and items that should not be associated with water rates. These spreadsheets have varied by over $1 million and quite frankly manipulated to present some justification for rate increases. I would ask the city of Piasta, are you assessing your residents a higher rate to establish a reserve fund for utility issues? If so, then we are already paying towards that fund with our higher rate. If you are not, then what justification can there be for the significant increase? Is it to pay for the poor decision to accept the donation from Mr. Spiegel of the well, pump house, water tower in exchange for providing water to Thunder Ridge? We have been told the city does not use those facilities and does not plan to, and in fact is considering drilling another well. Not one person who lives in Thunder Ridge had anything to do with that decision. Our board has continually tried to have a positive relationship with the city of Piasta. We go back to the comment made by the previous city official. Don't you trust us?
I'm Mike Dillman. I'm in Thunder Ridge, also 16702 Thunder Ridge Drive in Piasta. I think we need to go back to the beginning of this a little bit as to what we discussed the last time there was an open meeting on this. Thinking about this and talking to John the other night, I've kind of come to the conclusion in my mind, and first off, I don't know why anybody up here hasn't talked to the previous council people who made the decision to accept the well. It's my feeling that if you're not using the well, somebody made a bad decision. I think maybe Mr. Spiegel was enticing the city with the idea that you'd have immediate annexation and thereby get the tax base. That's my feeling. I don't know that for a fact. I wasn't part of the negotiation. But I don't feel when the city council, which represented the entire city, made the decision to accept the well, knowing that there were going to be additional costs, and then subsequently deciding they're not going to use the well, and they want to drill another well for $1 million or something. I just don't understand how the thought process works. To have a hole in the the ground that can deliver water, that can be used in the city. How you can justify spending $1 million, because, and again, I'm not an engineer, but I don't think it would cost you that much to get that water down to the city. So I think it's extremely unfair and not very welcoming to have us bear the burden of a bad decision by the council members at that time. And I would encourage you to go and talk to the council members, because I know AJ was doing stuff with the city. And some people liked it and some people didn't like it, but he was able to get accomplished what he wanted. And I think this is one of the things that he did. But as was mentioned before, we had no say in the matter. AJ was fully in his rights as representing the HOA, because he was the HOA until the subdivision got more developed. But again, I just think that doesn't make any sense that we're paying. We gave you something that was perceived of value by the city and us at the time it was done. So I don't agree with 150% over the going rate. Because other people that are paying that rate in other communities, I don't think gave something of value to the people providing the water. And then the other issue that was in play at that time was the city of Piasta wanted us to become part of the city of Piasta, because that other water tower system that was being put up by the gas station on Highway 20, the old Phillips station, they were approaching and AJ to become part of that system. But the city at that time did not want that to happen. So the city willingly accepted it, knowing there was cost. And I don't think we should be expected to bear the burden of those costs associated with that. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Anyone else like to address the council at this time? If not, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there anyone online that would like to speak?
All right, I'll look for that motion then.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on utility percentage rates outside corporate.
Second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, aye.
Justin, I.
Motion carries. Public hearing is now closed. Next up is ordinance amending the Title 6 Physical Environment, Chapter 5 Utilities Code, ordinance of the city of Piasta, water and sewer outside corporate boundaries.
So I guess I'll start. For the last 8 months, 6 months, where we've been starting this conversation, I've been providing some pushback on doing this. Mainly didn't feel we had all the information, looking for more information. Some of the data wasn't correct. And bottom line, it just didn't feel right. I think I said that a couple of times, just didn't feel right. And then as I dug into it and tried to think of different ways to look at this, I stumbled across something the last 2-3 days that I think we need to consider as a council for these folks, is that it was sold to us or presented to us that if, God forbid, something was to happen tomorrow with their system, we would have to take out a loan and the citizens of Piasta would have to pay for it through their taxes. Fair?
Yes.
Okay. So when we take a loan out for water sewer, it's typically through SFR funds. SRF funds, is that correct? And that's paid back by revenues of the water and sewer, correct?
Mhm.
So in my mind, it's not gonna fall back on the citizens of Piasta. It's gonna fall back onto all the water users that are hooked up, correct?
But we can also use geo obligated bonds to do that as well.
Okay, but it's gonna fall across all the water users, not just the citizens of
The
Piasta.
geo bonds will only fall back on the property taxpayers.
And typically we use SRF funds or loans.
And we've
for
done that,
water.
as I explained, we've done that because we have done so many geo bonds in the past that we have to be very careful with our debt capacity.
Ceiling, yeah.
And the SRF is the only mechanism that we have that doesn't go against that debt capacity.
So we've done it in the past, probably do it in the future.
Mhm.
So it wouldn't be spread amongst just the taxpayers, it would be spread amongst all the water users. So why, I guess they're already paying towards some of the God dang it, I can't say it.
SRF.
SRF funds, they're already paying towards paying those balances down already. So why wouldn't we just
Yeah.
continue doing that?
And then would
Instead
there
of
be any
double-
reason if, like, for our next water projects, that we wouldn't still pursue SRF?
We will.
Would there
And
be contingencies that we would get denied that and we'd have to do general obligation debt?
there's a very strong possibility. I mean, it all boils down to your balance sheet and
Right.
where we are. As I explained in an email, that when we do move forward with the new water tower and the well, that we can certainly look at what percentage of capacity or that people are using, whether it be the residents here in Piasta, the commercial, the industrial, or the out of corporate boundaries, and take a look at those capacities and make sure that we're covering our debt ratio, whether it is through an SRF or whether it is through a GO bond obligation.
We had Heidi, right, at Northland Securities, that's where we've got the SRF funding. Kind of look at the percentage balances of use rate. Her memo, I think it's in the public documents here. 12% of water utility operating expenditures and water debt payments. Thunder Ridge, it would equate to about 94,000. I'm assuming that means a year.
It is, yes.
Yeah. And Thunder Ridge revenues from their water is about 81,000 and change a year. And then sewer is a different number. I guess my question is, so we're at 150%, and can Heidi do a reverse analysis to tell us what the percentage for Thunder Ridge would have to be to bring it into balance with their percentage usage compared to all the other users of the system?
Right, and we can do that as we prepare to move forward with that SRF for the new water tower.
That would be on the new one. So this would be.
Right, so this will
be for the
bring
new.
all the debt in.
Okay, not sure I'm understanding.
So what you're looking for is, okay, is 150 isn't the right number, is it 153?
Yeah, it was like if it's,
147?
To
if
get
we're
that
out of balance,
12%, yeah.
to get,
You're out of balance already.
we're already below balance.
Below balance, but
We are,
is the number.
we know that.
Yeah.
75 is a 190.
And I'm sure I can have Heidi run that number.
I think that's what Brian's asking
Yeah.
is what would be the current without.
Use
before we
rate,
do the water
it's
tower.
underfunded for TRA's percentage of use. And the question is, where's that percentage breakout to bring them up to fund it? Acknowledging that we still don't have payback on the prior
Right.
investments.
No, but
We-
in our last
we
work
go-
session,
Yep.
our last work session,
Right.
we discussed
We just
that first 50% that we're
would go toward
collecting.
that.
We're comfortable with the time that it takes for
Right.
that first 50% to get us.
Right, it was like 12 years or something.
We were in agreement, so
Right.
that was comfortable. So
Right.
now it's.
So it'd be
now it's
above the 150
To find out,
to get it balanced.
to either get it balanced
Use rate
or, I mean,
To their
do we,
12%.
do we feel we need to have a fund there? Which
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the case that we don't, because we don't have a fund for the other people that are paying for the
Yeah.
water.
If we're able to continue to finance future water system projects and developments with SRF, then the users are paying for it in their user rate.
Correct.
Correct? The question will be, what will the user rates, how much would we have to change them in order to fund?
That may have to be. something
Right,
to have to
right.
look
And I
at.
did forward your email off to Heidi
Thank you.
so that she would calculate that for us. So as soon as I get that information back, I'll forward it to you all.
Okay. Well, I think one of the questions I've got is what would our future risk potentially be to not be able to secure SRF funding and therefore pay for it through the rates? I don't have a feel for like what would get us denied and we'd have to go general obligation debt. Because my whole thought process around this has been, I don't want the water system development just to fall on the citizens of Piasta and not have it balanced with the people that are not.
Well, the risk is as we continue to grow and we take on more projects, then obviously we have more debt that we have to serve.
Yeah.
So again, the water rates have to grow and, you know,
Yes.
in balance with that to make sure that we can cover our debt.
Yeah.
To that. I mean, we can run some numbers and show you based on current water rates right now, where that would be.
Could we project it off like a 5-year growth rate?
We could do it off the 20-year based on
Yeah, we
capacity
take,
and
we
inflation.
take the debt over a much longer period of
Sure.
time.
Geo bonds have to be voted on, correct? That's not
It's about a certain amount, yes. I mean,
But
then it
anything that
becomes
we're
a
gonna buy.
referendum item, yeah.
price wise is gonna be.
If it's an essential, usually not. If it's a non-essential, that would be like, we're building a brand new community center or something that's non-essential to the day-to-day function of,
So water would be essential and may not be required to have a
Right.
citizen vote, is that what you're saying?
but I don't know what the caveats are or the fine print is below that. But yes,
Certain dollar amount or whatever.
I do know for non-essential, if anything over 400,000, it has to be as a referendum item for the voters.
I think. This would be well beyond that.
Well beyond.
We might want to get voted on anyway. I mean, we were taking debt at that level for the city, whether
Yeah, let-
whether it was required or not.
Right. Further discussion?
So when we take a first reading vote, if we take a first reading vote tonight, right, next, I just want to make sure I understand what the vote means. We'll have multiple readings. If we vote for it in its current form, we still have the ability in future readings to change it.
I would
True, not
recommend that
true?
you start over again,
Okay.
because you're really changing what
Okay.
we have to change in the ordinance.
Okay,
So if the comfort level is not there, we would take no action on this tonight.
we'd either table it or, yeah.
We wouldn't table it, we would just take no action.
I think I'd rather see them numbers come back
Yeah,
personally.
Heidi ran the numbers that.
I'm
Ryan had
not
asked about.
comfortable taking action until we know exactly what the SRF question, to the best of Heidi's ability, our ability to continue to fund our water projects that way versus general obligation debt, and then the balancing equation with the 12% use.
I'd like to see that too.
So,
Any further discussion on this tonight? All right, we're gonna take no action on this and move on.
Okay.
Next up is an ordinance amendment that's titled by Public Works, Chapter 50 and 53.
This is gonna be the
Just
same
be the same.
scenario.
this is the garbage and sewer, right?
Yep. it
I
is.
would, I think.
So we'll take
Take
no
any
action
action.
on this as well.
Stay for the rest of the meeting, it's gonna be.
You guys are more than welcome to stay.
Come on, Marie, stay for the rest.
Wait, I'm taking everybody to trackside afterwards.
Maybe it's, I know.
Well, then I gotta go.
Get real busy real quick.
Next time I'll put you on the agenda.
Move on.
Good night.
Yeah, he said it's 2080, so it's only 17. We never had.
Yeah, he said they tried to get, I don't think that's.
Garbage was gonna follow us here.
There were so many false statements.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
So anyway, let's move on.
Yes,
Okay.
let's move on. Ordinance amending title 9, chapter 114, peddlers, lister, and transient merchants, second
Wait,
reading.
do we need to go to Public Works?
That was the.
That's the garbage, no action.
We took no action
It'll
on
be
that.
the same. Yeah, I
So
see.
this next ordinance on the peddlers, I do have to add that we are getting phone calls about people going
Yep.
around and we have very
Solar people.
residents that are asking them for their permits and they don't have them. So if I Facebook,
Have you guys been getting calls at all?
Yeah, we have.
To
We've been
respond?
shutting them down right away as soon as we get them.
Okay, and what's the response from the peddlers?
That they didn't know they needed to have a permits.
But they tell.
But they tell us-
It's mostly,
It's mostly the citizens, that at that point, yeah, if they're repeat offenders, we will citations on them if that's the case, we just haven't had a repeat of the same person.
And repeat of the same company.
I don't think so, not of the same company yet.
Are they from out of state?
They, yes, most of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't be the only
Out-of-state
community that
companies.
I see you made the updates. We talked about it in the license exempt schools. It's,
This is the second reading.
this is
Yeah,
the second reading.
And
I'm ready to move on this.
Need
Motion.
to approve.
I make a motion to approve ordinance, second reading, ordinance 2024-09, Title 9, Chapter 114, peddler, solicitor, and transient merchants.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I.
And I think we went to this.
We waive it.
I will make a
Motion
motion
carried.
to waive
To
the
waive the
third
third reading.
reading.
Second.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
Justin did.
Okay.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
John, I,
Jeff, I.
And motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
John, I.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
thank
No,
you.
thank you.
Sorry, we made him wait so long for the second reading, but it's.
Yeah.
Everything moved and we're ready to go.
I just said.
The ones that are already in place have until their permit expires.
Correct, yeah.
There are currently none.
Nobody has
There's
the
none.
permits.
None.
Okay, just so we know.
Do we post that every Monday?
Can we have when it's limited
I know you
usually
guys-
to a week, and then we post it on Facebook and
Yeah.
let people know
Yeah. I
that,
think
hey,
that
there's
just
a
helped
new
a lot.
peddler permit, this is
The
what it's for.
awareness.
Love Facebook.
People have started to
Sometimes.
probably ask and push back, so.
Yeah, no, I think that's been working out really well. All right, we've got next up ordinance amending Title 7 Traffic Code, Chapter 74, Schedule I of the Piasta Municipal Code, second reading. And approve the second reading of moving Thunder Hills from 50 to 35.
Have we had any other people reach out? Nobody?
No, no, just Dubuque County wanting to know when we're gonna pass it.
When are you guys gonna be done?
I'll make a motion, for ordinance amending Title 7 Traffic Code, Chapter 74, Schedule I of, yeah, reading, second reading.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
John, I,
Jeff, I.
Motion carries.
I'll waive the third reading.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
John, I,
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. Motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, when you guys want to do so.
Well, we've been through it a couple times. Let's just
No
go.
questions.
Yeah.
All right, next up, resolution approving pay estimate number 3 submitted by County Construction for the Kelly Oaks Parks multi-use trail project. Staff has reviewed and recommends approval of this payment.
I don't think.
This is final.
It's not.
No, this one's not.
This is
one.
Kelly Oaks,
This
so
is
it's not
Kelly Oaks,
Kelly
yeah.
Oaks.
Well,
No, we're a long ways from that.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Kelly Oaks. Did I say something different?
No,
Okay.
I clicked below
It's
it.
the trail in Kelly Oaks.
Right,
Yeah, it's the
a
trail.
very nice trail in Kelly Oaks.
Awesome.
If you haven't walked
Good
it,
feedback on it.
I have a video
Do it
from a
before the
citizen
snowplow.
that she shared with me that I'll pass on to you guys.
oh, awesome.
Somebody in their family that's disabled in their chair, their electric chair, going around the trail.
Oh,
How
awesome.
did they get up?
They got up all the grades
Oh.
and everything. She said it was amazing.
Fantastic.
They're super pleased. So.
That's good to hear.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve resolution approving pay estimate number 3 submitted by Conley Construction for the Kelly Oaks.
I will second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
John, I,
Jeff, I.
motion carries. Resolution approving pay estimate number 2 submitted by Chipra Excavating for the Cox Springs multi-use.
This is the final.
This one's.
Final,
Actually, a project came in
under budget.
And kudos to staff for watching the quantities as the project went along.
Absolutely.
My only regret is that we didn't bid the next leg down to the park at the same time, because this was a pretty tight unit bid. Maybe we couldn't have funded it, but
Need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve. Springs Road sidewalk. Change order.
Multi-use trail. Multi-use trail. It's a trail. Not a road, it's a trail.
I've been properly undocumented. Trail.
It's you're wrong.
I'll second.
And this is project acceptance then too?
Yes.
Yeah, all right, Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I. Motion carries. Next up, resolution amending and adopting the revised employee handbook. We discussed earlier. Any questions about that?
So you are giving city staff 2 more holidays, Martin Luther King floating holiday?
Yes.
You are giving.
You are.
You are.
You are. We are.
We are.
We are.
So Justin, we compared to the other cities around us, big and small. We're a little bit out of alignment. We debated about specific holidays, you know, veterans, Martin Luther King, different cities have different things. But we thought we're a couple short. We thought what the employees really probably would value the most is the flexibility of the floating one. I mean, it's because of the time of year and the things that they were looking at, but
Are there specific,
Yes.
are there
Yeah, when-
specific dates that they can use it for the floating?
Or is it their discretion?
It's at their
it'd be
discretion.
their
They
discretion.
could take this Wednesday off for a floating.
What has to be on their anniversary date. So when their anniversary date comes up, then it becomes available.
But I'm saying.
But they can take it
Right,
any
at
day.
any time.
Well,
Just an extra
What-
vacation day.
I don't remember, did we decide on the time frame that they had to schedule it, or could it be?
No, I think it's like any other vacation.
It's subject to scheduling with the
Right.
department.
But if something comes up where if you don't have a babysitter or whatnot, we're flexible on that.
The personal that.
Yep, right.
But you can't like
Rather than
take the day off after a holiday.
And when we look at the
You're gonna be
holidays-
shorthanded and all that stuff.
I think it's at the department has discretion at this point.
Right.
Limited staff,
Just automatic.
They have to, just like a vacation scheduling event.
but staff was pretty happy about it.
this
would spread it out.
Right, Marcy?
Yes.
Marcy,
Martin Luther King's my birthday this year. Thank you.
Happy birthday,
Perfect.
Mark.
It will be my birthday, so I get my birthday off.
you had a dream.
Wait a minute, that is her dream and that's her personal day.
Yeah.
Her floating holidays.
No, we already get that. We're getting it.
I know.
All right.
So thank you.
I have one question on the language for the recommended revisions, part-time regular, just the way we've got it. So full-time is gonna be 32 hour or more, which it's been.
Correct. Yep.
Part-time regular, should it not say minimum of 20 but less than 32?
They can say that if you would like.
What's it mean when it says but less than 40? Cause you'd have, I guess we could have somebody in that classification that worked a couple of pay periods at like 38, but they're flexing up and down. Is that
Right,
the
and,
thought?
and it's not going to average out to put them in any category to have benefits. Were you gonna say something?
No.
Okay.
That's why I was just gonna, as long as they have less than their X amount of hours for the year, they're.
Right, for IFRS and, right,
Part-time.
yep.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Seems to make sense.
And we'll continue to review this on a
If
quarterly
the discussion
basis.
is done, then we'll need a motion.
I have no more questions.
I'll make a motion for resolution amending and adopting the revised handbook, employee handbook. Provides the definitions of add paid holidays.
I'll second. Ryan, I.
Thanks, gang.
Justin, I.
John,
Jeff, I.
Motion carries.
Oh, yes.
Thanks all.
You're welcome.
Resolution amending the City of Piasta Police Department policies.
Yeah, been looking to do this for some time now. These are just things that needed to come up and have to be approved or revised for our department policies. It's just the last 2 pages, 104, 105. It deals with basically with new hires, probationary periods, the permanent status and regular scheduling. So right now we were doing 8 hours and 10-hour days. Now currently we're at 12-hour days. Yeah, and the guys really like the 12-hour days. What that does is it gives them, the 12-hour days gives them every other weekend off. And it seems like we are getting actually more coverage with the 12-hour days. So by going to do the 80 by 84, it basically, what it happens is on a 12-hour day, there's one day out of the week where they work an 8-hour day. Well, then that would leave us short 4 hours in the 24-hour day, obviously. And the agreement, I talked to the guys, they were all in agreement. They thought it was a good trade-off that they would go from 80 to 84 hours and cover the other 4 hours to have the weekends off. That, yeah, that extra. Yeah, correct. That's all it is. So, I did get legal counsel from our city attorney and it's all good on that end. So.
Yeah, the legal opinions, we have to be consistent on one or the other,
Correct.
right? But I.
Correct. What that means is we can't go from 1 week I say, we're doing 80 and the next week we're doing 84. It has to be a significant amount of time and there's no time limit to it, but there has to be a significant amount of time. And if we do decide to change our schedule from a 12 to a 10 or an 8 or whatever, then I put it out to the guys and give them a significant amount of time to make that adjustment.
Yep. And the language you're recommending gives us the flexibility to change
Correct.
back to an 80 basis if we need to
Correct.
at some point.
Yep.
Other questions? All right, we'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution amending the city of Piasta Police Department policies.
I'll second. Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I.
Motion carries. Now open it up to public comment. Anyone like to address the council? Anything at all this evening? Anybody online?
There is, but they haven't spoke up.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and close the citizen comment. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Brian, I.
Lexi, I.
Justin, I.
Jeff, I. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.